monkey. Using wrestling cheers.
Taking your way in the world today takes everything you got. Taking a break from all your worries sure would help a lot. Wouldn't you like to get away? Sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You want to go where you can see that troubles are all the same. You want to go where everybody knows your name.
And welcome back to Wrestling Cheers, where everybody knows your name, especially when there's a Big Lebowski reference. This is Wrestling Cheers, where we like to talk about things on the Northeast Ohio independent wrestling scene. We preview shows, we review shows, and sometimes we even have interviews along the way. This is a review of AIW's This Aggression Will Not Stand, man. I am your host, Justin Summers, and Wrestling Cheers is brought to you by Midwest Territory. Please rate, review, and subscribe your ever listen to this fine podcast, whether it be Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, YouTube, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, or Podbean, WrestlingCheers.podbean.com. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, Facebook.com/WrestlingCheers, Twitter.com/WrestlingCheers, Instagram.com/WrestlingCheers. Email, if you so choose to desire, WrestlingCheers@gmail.com. Like I said, this is going to be a review of AIW's return to Youngstown. This aggression will not stand. Man, already introduced myself and back once again, and this is a perfect spot for him. We have Dustin Alberti back.
Hi guys, I'm back.
That's like what you always used to like say, like, "Hey, I'm back."
Oh, I mean, you're saying I'm back. I'm back. Here I am to talk about AIW. This aggression will not stand, man.
I've still yet to see The Big Lebowski. I wanted to see
good movie. I've seen it a couple times.
I've heard a lot of good things about it. I hope it's one of those things that's just not overhyped to me, but eventually I'll sit down and watch it. Unfortunately, like, I wanted to watch it like kind of like the week of, but I just flat out couldn't. And with how this past weekend worked, I knew Friday night was going to be my only night to go grocery shopping. So that like killed that night for me. But I'm going to say I'm going to watch it by the end of the year. I'm going to put it
I suggested.
Yeah, I'm going to put it towards the top of my list. Find time, sit down and watch it, and yeah, but I'll do it.
I mean, there are people who make it their entire personality. I don't know about that, but it's a fun watch.
So we got AIW's return to Youngstown to talk about, but it was kind of talked about a little bit in the preview-ish, because we also reviewed the Akron show, but Toy Hio was the same day. Dustin, you did not go to Toy Hio, did you?
I did not. I was busy setting up the entire AIW show.
Have you ever been to Toy Hio?
I was at Toy Hio once, maybe twice, at least once. No, I was definitely there twice. I was there twice. I went one time because I had to drive Danhausen there, and then I went once to help out Thorne at the booth.
Yeah. Well, I went, kind of mentioned last week that I was going to help out. I didn't know what my assignment was going to be per se, and it ended up being helping Danhausen. To me, it felt like...
that's fun.
Yeah, to me, it felt like it was the easiest fit of, like, where you could fit me. I've known Danhausen since he's debuted at AIW, and we've always, had a pretty good relationship. I don't necessarily want to say friendship, but, to the point of, like, he's been on this show 3 times. All 3 times he was interviewed in person. We talk here and there, but, like, he knew he could trust me in that type of situation. I did not handle any money. That's what they handled that themselves. But, be there taking pictures for anybody that needed it. Because I know I've been that person. You're going up to a meet and greet alone and you don't have anybody to take the picture. And I have my fair share of photos of people who just like botched taking a picture, like they did not know how a phone worked.
Yeah.
And
it's blurry, it's not centered.
Yeah, like stuff like that.
You're not even in the picture.
And they take like one picture. Like, I think we've gotten to a point where like most people know now, like, don't take one picture. Like, if you can take 3 real quick.
Take like 4 or 5, like in rapid concession.
Yeah.
Or succession, not concession.
Like, there were some that I would try to take for people, and like their phone would be maybe a little slower. It'd be like, it would take, let's say, about 2 seconds between photos. But you have some, like, I don't want to get into like phone wars, but there was like a lot of people who had iPhones, or at least newer iPhones. And I say newer of like at least 5 years, because I did see some that were pretty old, but like that could take photos real quick. Like, I know there were probably some Androids that did too, but like I know everybody that had a newer iPhone worked great. And yeah, so I literally stood there like first time. It was like 4.5 hours straight. People coming in the line, like that's how long it took Danhausen's line to die.
Right.
And there's a lot of
I saw it was another record breaking crowd at Toy Ohio this year.
Yeah. So that was really fun to be a part of. And like seeing Danhausen interact with these fans, like this is someone who really hasn't changed that much since he was just like a random person on the independents, like from his first AIW match to what I mean is like the interaction with fans. He's not someone I think that maybe has an ego or anything like that. Like he took his time with a lot of the fans, and that was very cool to see. And like I had like no complaints, and we even like this.
Yeah,
like,
go ahead. He's a very, very cool, very easygoing guy. Like he's as big as he's gotten. He is still the same Danhausen as he was before he was even signed. So
yeah, and with his wife being there, like that added a whole different dynamic. Like she was so sweet. A lot of people came up and complimented her one way or another. Really, really, really fun day. I did learn something on this day that blew my mind, and that's Colt Cabana knows my name.
Yeah?
Yeah. Like I went up to him at the end of the show because I got there early a little bit, but I didn't really get to talk with a lot of people. Just trying to figure out like what my assignment was going to be and figure that stuff out. And like people were setting up. Like I did talk to him like 2 seconds wise, like when he got there and started setting up. I wanted to actually like thank him, which I ended up doing at the end of the show, like right when like a lot of people were tearing down. Just want to thank him because like he's an inspiration of mine of this podcasting stuff, because I never wanted to be like him. Like I want to be this popular and everything. Like, well, maybe, but like that was never the goal. But at the beginning of this show, like I have a spiel that I go over that was like pulled from Colt Cabana. And I remember when I first started out doing this, like even I think the Ohio Indie Report, like I tried, but I couldn't find like the right rhythm. I didn't have it, but over time, like it came. And that's just like listening to him and following like his example. And same thing with interviews too. I always loved Colt Cabana's interviews because he found like better things to talk about. If you go back to when there were a lot of like wrestling interview podcasts, and I'm going to mainly say him, Jericho, Austin, all three of them could interview the same person. Austin and Jericho would be very similar to each other. Cabana could make it different. He was someone that had more conversations than anything. So I want to take a moment because I don't know when we'll see him at AIW again. He seemed to be obviously pretty busy and everything. So I just want to thank him for everything. But when I walked up to him, he was like, "Yeah, what's up, Justin?" And I'm just like, "What? When the fuck?
Oh,
like when the fuck did this happen?" And he's like, "Oh no, you've been coming to AIW for 20 years." I'm like, 12, I think around 12. But I'm like, I mean, okay, but I don't know. That's something that like still blows my mind. It's something like with Danhausen, like we've had a lot of personal interactions to where I obviously understand he knows my name, but considering how many times like Colt Cabana's been to AIW, like, yeah, I didn't figure that out. That just blew my mind.
That's cool. It's a good little story.
Yeah. All in all, Toy High was a blast. I did everything I wanted to with Danhausen. Got my Zombie Sailor Toys figure signed. Got his Frankenhausen micro brawler that I was missing, and got a print of him and Lulu signed. And also got a great picture of me, him, Lulu, and my wife Amanda, because that's kind of like a group picture we wanted. So yeah, that's all I wanted from there.
I did see that on social media.
Yeah, it was really
good picture.
Yeah, ironically enough, when we went to go take that picture, good old Ed Batts was in line right behind my wife because she had her come through the line when it got short, and he's like, "Oh, how ironic! There's a photographer next in line that can take your picture." But yeah, all in all, it's been said many times here, if you can check out Toy Hio, do it. Next Toy Hio is in June. Don't be surprised if AIW runs another show that day.
You never know what can happen.
I think it's been hinted at.
I cannot confirm nor deny.
Well,
if anything is happening.
It might have been hinted at in the AIW Discord, but that's why I can't come out and say yes. But don't be surprised. We could at least leave it at that.
I will not confirm nor deny.
But yeah, that was part of my day. Didn't get a chance to eat. Unfortunately, Brock from Smoke and Jay's Barbecue, they sold out of everything by the time I went to go grab some food. Literally, the only things they had were chips and water. So, skipped on that. That led us to the venue, which two little stories I want to get into before we get into the actual card. Number one, no one told me that this venue had a record store or a music store, because it was more than just records, but a little music store within the venue, which
there was a record store, there was an arcade, a little mini arcade, bowling alleys, full kitchen, full bar. Honestly, before we get into the record store, the food was very good. I got pizza and wings. The wings were really good. I wish I would have gotten more wings. The wings were decently priced and very, very good.
I heard good things about the wings beforehand, but I had something on my list that I wanted to eat, and that's what we ended up getting. We ordered a pierogi pizza.
Love a good pierogi pizza. As a resident of Parma, I've had my fair share of pierogi pizzas.
I heard there was some place in Parma or some places in Parma that do it. Obviously not
There's a couple.
Obviously not being directly from like that area, I didn't know where any of them were. I had seen a comment on Facebook of somebody talking about it, and I couldn't remember like which one of my friends it was, like off of whatever status they had, and it was around the time of that Polish week or something. But
yeah, Polish festival.
Yeah, but when I heard on the AW podcast that they had pierogi pizza, it's like, boom, I got to try this. And my wife is Polish and she loves pierogies. So that was like, oh yeah, that's what we're getting. So that is what we ended up getting. We had it without onions. My wife's not a huge fan of onions. I'm not a fan of raw onions, but in something like that, I would have been fine. But
yeah, they were probably caramelized, I'm sure.
Yeah, but it was good. And the only way I can describe it as, and it's going to sound disgusting to people, it tasted like, I would say, a white pizza with mashed potatoes. Yeah,
it's a good description of a pierogi pizza.
And it wasn't like overly mashed potato. I mean, you got enough of like, I just don't know how to describe it other than that, but it was very good. We ordered a large, which I think came with, might have been 12 pieces. I think the day, like that night, we ate 3 each, and then we finished the rest. Yeah. We finished the rest for lunch the next day. But
I got a small pepperoni sausage banana pepper pizza. It was very good. And I got the Dallas Ranch wings, or the Texas Ranch wings, which just seemed like regular buffalo wings. I don't know if they gave me the wrong sauce or whatever, but they were good. So okay. I'm not complaining.
It almost sounds like it would be a Buffalo Ranch mix. Like you don't.
Yeah, there's a place near me that does like a Texas Ranch, mm-hmm. and it's like it's almost like ranch with like Cajun seasoning in it. But
okay.
You know.
So actually, going back to like the whole Ohio thing, like we didn't get to eat, so we drove to the venue, and the whole thing was like, oh, we'll get a table, get some seats, and we'll order our food and eat. We ended up picking the last table they had, which was like, furthest away from where the setup was. And as we're walking back there, I could clearly see like this rack of vinyl, and it said like new arrivals. I'm like, oh, cool. And I'm walking towards it. I'm like, this is pretty cool. And just like as I get to that point, I look to my left and I see the little shop. I'm like, oh fuck! Like we just came from Ohio, and I thought like I was good on spending money for the day, minus a meet and greet that I did take part of. But yeah, I walked out of there buying 2 Frank Sinatra albums, 2 Kiss albums that I needed, all 4 of them on vinyl, the speaker box Love Below, as well as Snoop Dogg, or technically Snoop Doggy Dogg, Doggy Style on CD, and Guns N' Roses Use Your Illusion 1 and 2 on cassette. Probably could have spent more. Didn't necessarily rip through everything. I just kind of like hit certain spots that I wanted to look through. But all in all, loved it. And I obviously, if AIW goes back there, I will probably be prepared to go through there again and look through some shit. That was a nice little surprise that I had for the day.
Yes, I didn't get to go in there. I was kind of running around all day, but I did take a peek inside. It looked like there was like a good little selection in there.
And then as far as it comes to the meet and greet, I did do the Sandman meet and greet. Something that I didn't do at Wrestle Rager when he was here. And I mean, part of the reason is like, I'm not necessarily a huge ECW person or a huge fan of Sandman. So it was like, at that point I was like, I'm fine. I'm missing it. But I've gotten to the point now where if I have something like cool that I can get signed, I do it. For the longest time, I just did 8x10s, and I have like a stack of them at this point. But now I started getting like figures signed and anything like that, magazines. Since like 2005, I want to say, I have had the ECW Extreme Music album on, at my disposal. So when Sandman was here, I had the album, but I didn't think about getting it signed till like maybe a year or two later. And I'm like, oh, fuck. That would have been a really cool thing to get signed. I threw it in the back of my mind, just didn't think about it again. And then when this was announced, I was like, oh, I'm getting that signed. So I did, and I got a story. The one thing I love when someone like this is in a good mood is you can get some really cool stories. He told a story to whoever was in front of me about some stuff. I mean, I was kind of, all right, hurry up. I want to get this shit done because I didn't want to go back to, ironically enough, my pizza. But it did get to me, and I pulled out the cover of the album that, for those who don't know, he is on. And he was like, oh, you want to know the story of this album cover? I mean, you're not going to say no. So I was really interested about this. So the Sandman knew that this album was coming. And they had a photographer come in. I don't know whether they were purposely taking pictures for the album or just promo pictures in general. And I guess everybody that was getting their picture taken were taking like generic promo picture poses. And if you have the album, I think if you see the booklet on the back of the booklet, you see kind of what he's referring to. Like you got Taz, Shane Douglas, just right off the top of my head, that like they're doing like just regular, kind of like poses. Nothing that would like really stand out as an album cover. Well, the Sandman knew that this album was coming, and he was like, I want that fucking cover. So I guess when it came around to his turn, and the photographer was like, hey, you ready for your pictures? He's like, hold on a second. Right there in front of the photographer, he wraps himself up in the barbed wire. According to him, 100% real, and I believe it. And as he's doing this, obviously gets it around his head and everything, he looks at the photographer, stabs himself in the forehead with one of the barbs, and says, when the blood hits between my eyes, take the picture. And that's how we got the picture. And if you really think about it, I mean, if going into that, like, he wasn't the poster boy or the person that they figured was going to be the cover, he made a very bold decision, and he fucking earned it. Because I think, to me, that's like I want to say an iconic album cover, but like with among wrestling fans, let's say that. Yeah,
it's easily picturable. I'll give you my quick Sandman story before we get to the show. So I took him over by the meet and greet area. I just kind of escorted him over there. We go over there, and he looks down, and he sees AIW, notoriously known for having 1 million 8x10s for people to sign.
Mm-hmm.
He looks down and he goes, that's too fucking many. He's like, we're not doing this one. And he starts taking them off the table, throwing them off to the side.
Mm-hmm.
All right, whatever. It's whatever he wants. And he looks down, and we had one of him and Hulk Hogan in the ring in TNA, like sharing a beer. He looks at me and he goes, who is that? I said, that's Hulk Hogan. He goes, well, I know it's Hulk Hogan, but like, I was in the ring with Hulk Hogan? I don't fucking remember that. I just thought that was funny. He just doesn't remember being in the ring with Hulk Hogan.
I'll say this about the 8x10. There was only one that I seen that I was like, if I wasn't getting this signed, I'd get that one signed. Can you guess which one it was?
Was it the one of him in the field with the Budweiser shirt?
No, I'll give you one more guess.
Was it the one of him standing with the black background? Or Grandma Singh.
Yes. I was like, man, you're thinking like two iconic Sandman. Like, think something
other iconic Sandman. Well, I was really hoping Thor would got one with me taking the beer off the balcony at Wrestle Rager 2, but it wasn't there. I should have asked him if we could have done that as one, but or I should have just gotten my own printed out.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's like you get one printed. Just take it to fucking.
I didn't even think about it.
Take it to Walmart, get it printed. Yeah, because that'd have been a cool thing for you to have, like get that fucker like framed and everything with his autograph on it.
Oh, definitely.
Oh yeah,
definitely missed opportunity on my part.
Yeah. It's like me and the ECW CD. The fact that I had it for forever, and I totally blanked on like taking it to a show. So maybe next time, if there is a next time. But yeah, it was a cool Sandman experience for me. It sounds like they're a fun one for you. And that fucking Nana Singh, I love that.
Yeah, it was a good picture.
Because that was the day he won the title too, the Haas boot. Nana Singh, not I mean Josh Singh, not Nana Singh or Sandman.
Yes. And
then he dropped it to the Duke.
The Duke has held it.
That's how long the Duke has held the Haas boot. The person he beat
forever
doesn't even wrestle anymore. All right, let's get into the actual show. Talked about everything prior. There were 2 pre-show matches. Unfortunately, I was taking my pizza out to the car, the leftovers that we had, and I missed the introductions for the first match, and they were 2 cheeseburger students. But you were there.
Graduates of the Worldwide Dojo.
Yep. You were there though, and
I was doing commentary.
You can talk about this match. It was
it was John Lee Kirk versus David Moses.
Correct.
I mean, they were both really good. I really like John Lee Kirk's look. He did like a standing corkscrew moonsault, which was really cool looking. And they were both, you could tell they were both like really well like trained, like they were good.
Yeah.
I don't have a ton to say about it. It was a good solid pre-show match. They got in what they needed to get in. I think they had a really good showing. I could see, like I said, I think John Lee Kirk had a really good look. I liked him a lot. David Moses was good too, but I think John Lee Kirk was the one that I really took notice of. He had cool looking gear. Liked him a lot.
I think it's crazy when we get these like student showcase matches from like other schools that aren't even like around here. Like there was a time in AIW history where we got one of those as like a random J-Lit weekend match. One of the dudes turned out to be Dan the Dad.
Yeah. A young Dan the Dad, Danny Adams.
Yeah. And like he was like obviously like had to be like fresh out of training, like maybe within that first year. I had to like pull up his cage match, but we didn't really know who the fuck he was.
Yeah, I was talking to him the night before, and I think that was their first match outside of like the St. Louis area. They only had like a couple matches here or there before that.
So yeah, hopefully we see more from these guys, whether it be soon in AIW or even 3 years down the road. All of a sudden, they're starting to catch like wildfire.
Yeah, I like them. I like them both. I think they both had a good thing going.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully they do very well.
It was, see if I'm correct. I'm trying to remember who won.
John Lee Kirk won.
Okay, John Lee Kirk won.
I believe it's with that cool standing corkscrew guy.
And
if memory serves correctly.
And there was another pre-show match. I didn't tweet about this one. Like, obviously, I knew all the people in it. I was there for it. I did take some pictures. But since I didn't put out the tweet for the other match, I felt I shouldn't really put out a tweet for the other pre-show match. But it was 9 to 5 versus H2V2. And I will say, I really hoped that this was going to be like the first win for H2V2.
Came up short. Spoiler alert. Those two.
I mean,
I really like what H2V2 are becoming.
Mm-hmm.
I mentioned it on the last time I was on here that they seem to really be getting their like bearings and really getting their stuff together, and I'm excited to see what becomes of them. I think Vic Vice is really finding his own. I think he's bringing Hendricks along, and Hendricks is getting better just by Vic getting better. Yeah,
I think they're really starting to gel more as a tag team too. And I mean, they seem to have good chemistry at the same time.
Yeah, and then they had a really good tag team to go up against. Good learning experience going up against 9 to 5.
Because that is the thing to remember about 9 to 5, of them being like two veteran wrestlers. I don't know as much about Jack Verville. I mean, I know he's been around some time, but at least when it comes down to, Louis Linden, been around a long time and, like a very experienced tag team wrestler. So these two guys working together, it was a fit from the start. And they are two dudes who, they flat out got way more experience than 75% of the tag roster, let's say.
I'd argue probably even more than that.
Yeah, I think it's a high number, but considering how many tag teams there actually are, it's definitely a lot. Off the top of my head, maybe like there's two tag teams in AIW that have probably roughly the same, if not more, experience than them. And that's
the only three that I would go with are the Fuckets.
Ooh, I didn't consider the Fuckets, so okay, yep, one.
To Infinity and Beyond,
Correct.
And Euthanasia.
Correct.
The only three that I would really say have the same amount, if not more.
Yeah, I would guess, not looking at their cage matches, of all of them, that Euthanasia has to be the most experienced. I mean, we're going back to like early 2000s, late 90s.
Yeah.
H2V2, yeah, unfortunately they came up short, but eventually they'll get a win.
Yeah, their time will come. Just like everybody else, their time will come.
I mean, we kind of have the same thing with members only, didn't we? Of like, it took them a while to get a win, but like, that was when they did get a win, it was a huge moment.
Yeah, and Vic Weiss has 0 wins. At least Hendricks Hawkins has a win in a tag team match. Vic Weiss has no wins. 0 wins on his record.
Damn, you got to rub it in his face like that.
Hey, it's part of the story.
Making movies.
Sure are.
All right, let's move on to the first match of the card. The first official match of the show. We had, making his long return to AIW, Space Monkey versus Austin James versus Anthony Young versus Jocelyn Navarro. The last time Space Monkey was in Northeast Ohio for an AIW show was Welcome to the Party, Pal. Yeah,
December 2019. Or 2018. 2018, my bad.
Yeah. He was at the WrestleMania New Jersey show in 2019, which is crazy to think that was a month, or maybe actually technically a few weeks before the debut at the Odeon. And here we are a few months past of the Odeon being closed, potentially, I don't want to say for good, but AIW might not go back. We don't know. But like he missed that.
Yeah,
he missed that whole era. Yeah. And Space Monkey used to be like a regular almost.
Yeah, coming all the time. Had some opportunities. That's Walters pointed out on commentary that he had an intense title match in Canada recently against Derek Dillinger.
Okay.
The AIW canon. So he's had an AIW intense title shot recently.
Yeah, making his big return to the territory. Also at Toyhio. And
with his good friend Ethan Page.
And Charlie and BMD? Yeah, BMD.
I don't know who either of those people are. I don't know who those people are.
Charlie's a vlog dude, and BMD was actually at AIW. So talked about last week. He was fill-in for somebody in a 4-way at one of at the first Winchester show, actually.
Okay.
And I never revealed the only reason why I remember that. I don't remember who it was, but they made a joke that BMD stood for Big Monster Dick. So that's how I've remembered ever since.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
I don't remember who made the joke, but that's like when he was announced for Toyhio, I'm like, is that the same dude? Let me go check. Yep. Turns out, yep, it's him. But Space Monkey also kind of a different look than we had since we had last seen him. Looking pretty, I don't want to say shredded, but no shirt and really flaunting off his look. Still got the tail though.
Yeah, he's got some like biker shorts. Mm-hmm. Looks good. Showing off that half man, half primate body.
So thoughts on this match, the opener?
I mentioned in a commentary, Jocelyn Navarro said she's going to stop being nice, and she has. but if he was being nice before, I feel real bad for anybody else to get in the ring with her, like, now and in the future. That sounds terrible. Austin James looked really good. Anthony Young had a good showing. As we mentioned, Space Monkey coming back. Everybody loves Space Monkey. I mean, it was an all-around good match. I really enjoyed it. I think that's basically what my entire takeaway from the show is. Man, that was a good show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the only thing I didn't like about the show was the fact that there was no chairs. But that's only because I was standing all day at Ohio, and my legs and ankles were just killing me. But that's something that, I mean, it happens. I couldn't take it against the show, but that kind of goes to show what I thought about the show, though. The worst thing I can think of was just that. Maybe something about the main event, but it was a negative, but a positive to me. But we'll get to that part. Yeah, I agree with impressive showing by everybody. And yeah, Jocelyn, we talked about it last week where she says she wants to be booed. She wants to be a bad guy. And I'm like, we like you, fans. We like you. Now you could kind of take a page out of Derek's book. He's well liked, but he will find the people that don't like him and he'll fucking dig at them. Again, more on that later.
Yeah, more on that later. A lot of hatred towards Derek Dillinger that night.
Any other thoughts on this match?
Not really. It was good. Like I said, I thought that Austin James had a really good showing. And I really like that because I like Austin a lot, and I'm glad that he's continuously excelling in the situations that he's put in.
Unfortunately for Austin, though, it was Space Monkey basically pinning both him and Jocelyn for the win. Let's move on to the next one. Sid Von England versus Kaplan.
Let me tell you, Justin, going into this, I did not know what to expect. I assumed that Kaplan would murder him. I thought maybe Sydney would do a thing or two, but I figured he would just get murdered. This might have been, until the main event, this was probably my favorite match of the night, and even might be my favorite match over the main event. I love this match.
There's a lot of skill there with Sid that I feel like we don't get to see enough of. And maybe it's because he's not someone who's constantly booked on AIW. Sometimes there's been some issues that have arise, but all in all, I think he's a dude that can kill it. Now he's not going to be this.
Yeah, I think
he's not going to be this not dominant, but Dom Guarini level, but he can go out there and fight and wrestle with the best of them.
Yeah, between this match and the match he just had with Dom at Wasted Youth, I think Sidney Von England is definitely showing that he's kind of figured it out. He's ready to go. He's ready to try out new things, ready to get some chances, take them, and make the most of them. Some very, very nasty spots during this match. Him getting, every clothesline just looked disgusting. Kaplan just hit so hard. And then the suplex on the concrete, just gross. The thud that it made. Sidney really showed some guts during that match. And he did that he did the exploder suplex to Kaplan, and Kaplan I've never seen somebody just throw Kaplan like that. It was very impressive.
Yeah, that suplex on the floor was really a dumb way to die. But Sid's still here. But it was Kaplan that pinned Sid for the win. I think it's kind of going by what you were saying of, I expected Kaplan to win, but at the same time, we are seeing this tougher side of Sid, especially, having back-to-back AIW matches with Dom and Kaplan. The only thing that would be worse is maybe next month. Okay, not next month because it wouldn't work, but April, he has a match with Isaiah Broner.
You better hope not.
I don't know. Sid's a crazy guy.
Also, we don't know what will be happening with Broner. I don't think that if Broner wins the Absolute title, that Sidney would be getting a shot at the Absolute title anytime soon.
Hey, you never know. Crazier things have happened.
I guess so.
Ultra Manus Black walked out AIW champion one time, and he wasn't
That man's a legend, so...
He wasn't even in the main event.
Sometimes you just win. Winning at life.
All right, let's move on to the next one. Riley Rose making a little return to AIW versus Shaw Mason. And I can't remember if it was during this match or another match where I realized, like, it's the one thing I hate about bar shows. When, like, you get maybe people in there that don't understand wrestling as much and they just try to heckle the same thing over and over. It's like, yeah, we got it. Like, okay, let it go.
People like fun, Justin. It's not people have fun. Even if their version of fun is different than your version of fun.
To be fair, I didn't say anything. I kept it to myself.
Just let people enjoy things. That's what I've done now. I've made my life so much easier. Just let people enjoy things. Like this match. I enjoyed this match. It was another one of those good showings out of somebody like Riley. He's very much in like the same situation as like a Sidney Von England, where, you know, like there's only so many spots on the roster. Plus, you have the students that are showing up, and I mean, yeah, Riley came through the school a little bit, and that's how he got his opportunity. But I don't necessarily count him as a student.
Mm-hmm.
And these kids are getting those spots, and they're fighting for their spots. And I think it was a good showing out of Riley. It really gave you like he still has a spot. There's still a place for Riley Rose in AIW. That said, Shaw Mason also looked extremely impressive.
I mean, that's typical Shaw Mason.
It really is. He's another one of those guys who just keeps rising to the occasion and overachieving every time he gets an opportunity.
I mean, there's something to be said as a whole, I feel like, for almost every AIW class. And I think as the years go on, like, the bar keeps getting raised and the next class either meets that bar or supersedes it just a little bit.
And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for out of these kids. Exceeding expectation. Doing better than we even think they can.
And I feel like I've said it before that, you know, this whole class is a pretty good class.
Yeah. I like all these kids. Some of them are still figuring it out. Some of them have started piecing it together. You can see some of them are getting it a little bit faster than others, but they all have really good potential. They all can go as far as they want to go.
Mm-hmm. And I think someone in this match was yelling something to Riley to actually like compliment him. And I don't know if it was like someone else said something at the same time. Riley Rose just like turned around and flicked him off. It's great.
Yeah, Riley Rose showing a little bit of a mean streak during this match. A little bit of middle fingering and disrespect going on. Maybe
we need to see more of this Riley Rose.
That's like I said. I mean, he definitely proved that there is a spot for him if he continues to have performances like this.
Any other thoughts on the match?
Not really. It was, like I said, it was very good. Shaw Mason continues to have wrinkles. I mean, it was good. It was a very good match.
I know Shaw Mason made Riley Rose tap for the win. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, this one, I kind of missed something at the beginning. I think it's because I was trying to get out this first tweet, but it was PME versus bulking season. And next thing I knew, Brian Carson had a PME shirt on and was like joining the match.
Yeah, this man comes up, kicks me off commentary, goes out, does commentary. Next thing I know, I'm looking, he's in the ring, and Dominic Green is doing commentary. I don't know why I got kicked off commentary. These guys must have had some type of ruse going.
Yeah, I didn't see you get in the ring for people. Like you were doing your job.
I do my job, and that's all I'm there to do.
So next thing you know, it's PME with Brian Carson kind of, outnumbering bulking season. Well, oddly enough, bulking season kind of had a backup plan, and they called out Sam Holloway to join bulking season for the night. So then we get a nice 6-man match.
My guy, Sam Holloway, unfortunately having to team up with Arthur MacArthur, but love seeing Sam getting out there.
Everybody loves Arthur MacArthur. Everybody likes Adam Van. Yeah, I was going to say that too.
I still haven't gotten my money from the IW Guide plugs, but, I'm waiting.
But bulking season and Sam Holloway versus PME and Brian Carson. This was a nice match before we went into intermission. And,
yeah, it was a nice little. Everything was good about it. It was fun. Typical 6-man last second 6-man throw together. Have a good time. People get their stuff in. Everyone has a good time, and we sent the crowd to intermission happy.
But it was Marino pinning Arthur MacArthur for the win. And this, if I'm correct, this match went everywhere, right? We had a few matches like this where they're all starting to
it was together, a little out of the ring, little in the ring, little crowd involvement.
Once again, Arthur MacArthur taking the pinfall.
Good.
But next thing you knew, Enter Sandman hits. And out from the crowd comes the Sandman. In modern Sandman routine, no longer drinks the beer, pours it down other people's throat. Right, Dustin?
Sure does. Highlight of my life.
And definitely did the same thing. For us who, been around AIW for a while, like it wasn't necessarily a huge moment, but considering there were probably a lot of people there that never been to an AIW show or even, been that close to the Sandman, like that, this was a pretty cool fucking moment for them.
Yeah, it's always cool to see him do the full on walk around, play the music, drink the beer, smash the cans, all that fun stuff.
And of course, he makes his way to the ring, has a kendo stick, takes out Brian Carson first. PME thinks that they can get away from it, but Bulking Season and Sam Holloway throw them back in the ring. Sandman takes care of them too. And then we go to...
Couldn't happen to better people.
Then we go to intermission with a nice little celebration between Sandman and Bulking Season and Sam Holloway.
Yeah, and just a little before we get into after intermission and the next match. If you watched live on FITE TV, we did do a new setup for intermission. We went over certain things. We went over the first half of the show. We had some video packages. Went over the next part of the show. Just trying new things out, trying to keep intermission a little more interactive for everybody instead of just throwing up a graphic and waiting 15 minutes. But yeah, that's just something for the people at home. Go back and watch it. Let us know what you think. We got other ideas. We're trying to work things out.
Yeah, wasn't there a time, I think it was pre-pandemic, when there was kind of an intermission show, correct?
There was I think one or two times they did an intermission show with IWTV when we first started on them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember it being like Built to Last or Baby It's Too Cold Outside. Like right around that time, because I'm picturing Odeon and all that. I don't remember being in Akron or any place else other than that. Then go into COVID and it definitely didn't come back. But no, that's something.
I think it was even before Baby It's Too Cold Outside.
Really?
That we did it.
Oh,
yeah.
Maybe.
I think it was like when we first got to the Odeon. We did it a couple times.
Okay. I was going to say, what about ABSO? Because there was kind of a thing where like there were people like coming in and out, like talking with the camera.
Yeah, there was like interview segments, and I know like Weird World did a hosting job on it one time.
So yeah, it's kind of cool to see like something like that come back. Obviously, it's not the exact same thing, but at least providing some sort of entertainment for the home audience, and even not even that. Like think of later on in when people are streaming it. Like I'm going to figure that's in there too, and it kind of like helps building the show.
Yeah.
Granted, you're when it's happening live, like it's helping hype up the next part of the show, but you can do the same thing like watching streaming later, and actually give you like some sort of content to watch.
That's kind of what we're trying to do. Get a little bit of content so people don't switch off or switch over. Try to keep people entertained and keep them enthralled in the action and what's going on in the stories.
Like we said, after that, we went into intermission and we came back with this one. Tyson Riggs versus Isaiah Broner.
Justin Summers, this wasn't a very long match.
We didn't expect it to be.
I'm not 100% sure that was Tyson Riggs. I think Tyson Riggs might be dead. Whoever that was smiling a lot. So, I mean, I guess that's good to see. Maybe if it is Tyson Riggs, he's not totally dead and he's happy. But I think that he might be dead now. Definitely a possibility.
I mean, is there anybody else for him to go up against? Oh, is this going to be another one for Sid where Sid can actually get that kind of torment out on somebody?
I don't know. Like, it's a possibility. Sydney Von England versus Tyson Riggs. I think that happened at Wrestlepalooza. Might have happened at Wrestlepalooza. I don't remember.
I don't know. All those shows blend together to me.
Oh, dude, you're telling me. It was a hectic summer.
The only match of Tyson Riggs that I vividly remember from that time period that wasn't, like J-Lit weekend was at Worcester with Shaw Mason. And actually the reason why I remember it was because Tyson won and I was like, oh, fuck, I didn't see that coming.
You mean Wadsworth?
Why did I say Worcester? Well, yeah, Wadsworth.
I don't know. Okay, just checking.
They're both W's in somewhat the same area. But you know what I mean. It still surprised me that Tyson beat Shaw.
Let's see. Looking at the shows. Wrestlepalooza. We've got... No, it was Shaw Mason versus Sydney Von England at Wrestlepalooza. Tyson Riggs versus Cisco Silver at Wrestlepalooza.
I remember that one.
Yes.
So yeah, maybe in the future, Tyson Riggs versus Sid Von England.
Maybe in the future.
Yeah, there was...
Oh, no, there it is. At Wrestle Razor, Sydney Von England defeated Tyson Riggs.
To be fair, that was a few days prior.
To be fair.
Yeah.
It was. Literally just a few days.
So yeah, I mean, is there really anything to go over here? Fucking...
No, he got destroyed. I'm pretty sure that... I don't even think that it was a question that Broner was going to murder this kid.
Did you ever have anything like when you were a kid and, you broke it, then you finally, get it all back together and you broke it again? That's what Tyson Riggs is going through. He just put himself back together after getting murdered by Kaplan, only to get murdered again by Isaiah Broner.
Someday he'll live. Someday.
Yeah, it was Isaiah Broner picking up the win via pinfall. Let's move on to the next one. Joshua Bishop and Wes Barkley, the Rip City Shooters versus Eric Taylor and Mikey Montgomery, the Bitcoin Boys, without the Duke, for the AIW Tag Team Championships. And the match was held under intense rules because that's what Josh Bishop matches are.
It's the champ gets what the champ wants.
And this is another one of those matches where just shit went everywhere.
Yeah, it was hard to call the action. It was hard to see everything going on. Like, now that we're doing our own production, we have like a monitor so we can see what's happening on the screen. But like, you're also so used to watching what's going on in the ring. So you're kind of like on both things. You're trying to call the action you're seeing on the screen, but then you're seeing something happen near the ring. You're like, oh shit, that's happening. And you have to there's just so much going on. It was hard to really see what was going on the entire time. You have pandemonium. Duke wasn't there because he was apparently with Roger Goodell, the good old Roger Goodell in Arizona for the Super Bowl. I don't know how true that is, but that's what Eric told us.
I don't know. Do you think they put the Duke on the big screen at the Super Bowl? We just missed it.
I think he was in the suite with Rupert Murdoch and Elon Musk.
Yeah, I think when the camera panned to him or panned to that suite, he was, going to grab some food or something. So
yeah, like I said, this match was just it was everything you expect out of a Rip City Shooters, brawling around the area, going to the bar, going through the crowd, bringing out the plunder, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, column A, column B, and the Bitcoin Boys fighting to stay alive. And basically, like, I think that it's kind of lost on people how well the Bitcoin Boys can hold themselves. Like, I mean, they're the tag team champions for a reason. Whether it's the Duke or not, like, those guys hold their own against guys like Josh Bishop and Wes Barkley. It's not as mismatchy as you would think it is.
I mean, you had Eric in the J-Lit finals. You had Mikey the year before was in the Biggins Cup. And those weren't things that were necessarily just handed to them. They earned to get to those spots. They won matches. They beat people. Granted,
and not just that, they took advantage of the opportunities that they had. They didn't have an issue. Like, it wasn't like they went out there and they blew an opportunity. They went out there and they had good showings. They had good matches. Like, I will say, like, I will put the Mikey Montgomery versus Derek match at the Biggins Cup up against any match that year. That was a very good match. Or even during Go for Broke, like I know I've talked about it before, but Eric Taylor versus Dominic Garrini at Go for Broke is one of the best matches I've ever watched live. And if there was a live crowd there, I think that it would have been an even bigger match than it actually was. I think it gets lost because it was just on Go for Broke.
Yeah, I totally agree. One of the things that was going through my mind throughout this match, I was like, how did the Bitcoin boys pull this off? This is an intense match for the tag titles, and that's just like made for Bishop to win. And he has Wes on top of it. Like these two, you would figure would have won easily, but they didn't.
It's like I said, I think people underestimate how good and how well the Bitcoin boys pair up against anybody in AIW. I think just because they seem smaller than somebody like Josh Bishop or Wes Barkley, like they're just as talented, honestly, if not more talented in the ring than Wes Barkley and Josh Bishop. Like they are both extremely good competitors. They both like arguably are charisma for charisma with Rip City Shooters.
They managed to get some help from Ziggy when what was it? She kind of like pushed Wes off the corner.
Pushed Wes off the corner, came out. Don't know if it was who gave her a little bit of money. Don't know if it was a let me go help out my boo thing, Mikey Montgomery. But she definitely came out and helped the Bitcoin boys retain those titles. But that's what happens when you're in an intense rules match. Anything goes. Got to be ready for those types of things.
There's a part of me that thinks it was a fuck Wes Barkley thing.
That's definitely a possibility as well.
Because, within the production, Wes Barkley is not a well-liked person. So I could easily see her helping humiliate Wes Barkley for Derek. And it was both Mikey and Eric pinning Wes Barkley to retain the AIW Tag Team Championships. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the next one. Cheeseburger versus Dominic Garrini. Cheeseburger making his AIW debut. That's weird when you think about it, but at the same time, it does make sense.
Yeah, I again mentioned on commentary, he may be new to AIW, but he's been in wrestling for so long. And I know this was a match Dom really wanted. He was a hand-picked opponent for Dom. It was good to have Cheeseburger in AIW. I'd like to see him come back. I think he has a lot to offer. A roster, especially a roster of young kids like we have. This was just a good old-fashioned wrestling match. I mean, if you want to watch two wrestlers wrestle, this was the match for you.
I think when it comes down to Dom, that's something that we have to always remember that we have. Like, we have potentially one of the best wrestlers in the world at our disposal. And I mean a wrestler in the bigger sense of the word, just meaning like someone who is technically capable.
And he has star power too. I mean, he is in the PWI 500. I mean, I know the numbers. If you ask him, he's like, yeah, whatever. Like, he was a PWI 500. He was PWI 100 in tag teams. Like, he's in one of the top 10 tag teams in the world, according to PWI. Like, that's insane. For my friend Dominic Garrini is one of the 20 best tag team wrestlers in the world. Like, that's 21 because Death Triangle was number 3, and there's 3 of them. But that's nothing to gawk at. Like, as much as it is just again, to him, it's just a number. It's just whatever. But I mean, it is definitely an achievement, and it's not lost on him.
So yeah, it's exactly what you would kind of expect from this match. Of like you said, of like this was two wrestlers wrestling, and Dom's good, and sometimes I think people might forget that Cheeseburger is that good.
Yeah, I think people, like when I said his name is Cheeseburger to a couple people, like, oh, that's funny. I'm like, well, yeah, it's like a silly name, but he's not like a goofy, silly wrestler. I mean, he kind of has like a little bit of a silliness to him, but he's a wrestler. Like, it's not like he's a comedy shtick. He is a wrestler, a very capable, dangerous wrestler. I
mean, hey, there's a lot of comedy wrestlers out there that are still good wrestlers. That's something that I think people need to realize. And, Cheeseburger's no different. Any other thoughts about this match?
Not really. Like I said, just a very good wrestling match. Like, if you like wrestling, you will like this match. I mentioned it earlier in the show. Like, to me, this was just a good show. Like, nothing stood out as like particularly bad. Everybody performed extremely well. Like, there's nothing. I don't have anything really bad to say about this show itself. Like the show, it's like just the show. And I think this match is, again, if you like wrestling, if you like ROH, this is the type of match for you. Like, this is two guys who are two of the best in the business at doing this.
It was Dominic Greeny pinning Cheeseburger for the win. Let's get into our main event. Chase Oliver versus Derek Dillinger for the AIW Intense Championship. And we alluded to it a little bit earlier. Fucking Derek and Ziggy versus this crowd. Holy shit.
Yeah, we were in the hometown of Chase Oliver. He had a lot of supporters there. By proxy, there were a lot of people there who did not like Derek or Ziggy, and they definitely made it known. A lot of people being extremely disrespectful, but I don't think Derek would want it any other way. And Ziggy seemed to hold her own against some of these goons, but it was definitely a very hostile environment for those two.
There was a dude in the front row that actually got a little physical with Derek, and I don't know if he was some sort of...
Yeah, the old guy? I don't know what was going on with that old guy.
Like, I don't know if, like, he knows Chase or related to him or what, but holy fuck. Like, even to the point where, like, we've seen it a lot in wrestling in general, and of course AIW, where, you know, you'll have a wrestler grab another wrestler, you know, by the arms and, like, have the crowd, like, chop them. When when Chase got to this dude with Derek, he was throwing fists at his chest.
Yeah, throwing live rounds right at Derek.
Yeah, like, holy fuck. And, like, to the point there was, at this point, and I think another point, security was literally right behind him, like, keeping him in check. Like, it, and it's not even obviously just Derek. Like, Ziggy went back and forth with a couple fans. I think one of them was the girlfriend of the infamous AIW Discord fan, who I thought was no longer attending shows, but whatever. And then there's a few other people too.
I don't know who that is.
Oh, come on. There's one infamous.
Honestly, I can tell you, I did not get to go out, especially because I did commentary the whole time and because we did the intermission. I did not get to go out and see who was out there.
Well, you know who I'm referring to about the AIW Discord, right? The one that...
The Discord?
There was one.
The guy who left?
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm fairly
Was he there?
I believe it was.
Oh.
If he is who I think he is. And I thought I heard someone call him a name that begins with A, and I'm pretty sure.
It's possible. I don't know. I mean, he was never banned or anything. He just left.
I know. But he said he was never supporting AIW ever again.
Well, he lied, apparently.
Imagine that. But anyway, yeah, Ziggy was in a particular mood, and she loves this. I know she fucking does. Where, especially when she walks through that curtain, she will get in everybody's face. She's, you know, referred to herself as a chihuahua before, and she brings that energy every single time. You say 2 words to her, she will fucking bite your head off with whatever she thinks to throw out of her mouth.
Yeah, she's a feisty one. She likes to get people going, getting people riled up. She's a big fan of doing it.
Oh, and we got to remember too, normally with these matches, they are held under intense rules because of the disrespect.
That's not true. It's just an intense title. That is a accusation that needs to be stopped. The intense title is not a title to be put under hardcore rules. The intense title is a workhorse title, and it's time to get away from that lie that's been perpetrated because people like Josh Bishop can't wrestle. Sorry, Josh. Just joking, Josh. You're the best. Don't want him to murder me.
It almost sounds like someone said the same thing with a tennis racket in their hand, but whatever.
Never.
But because of the the disrespect that Derek was shown, he said this match will not be held under intense rules.
Not under intense rules, having a good old wrestling match.
And this match had me a few times where I thought Chase was going to win. Even to the point of you had Wes coming out and kind of having payback. And it looked like he was...
Yeah, Wes came out and got a little involved.
And you thought, like, after that...
It was...
Yeah, it would be Derek losing that title. Nope.
No, I was shocked. When Derek kicked out after getting hit by the title, I was in shock. I thought that Chase Oliver was winning in his hometown. I'll say this too, like, we talked about how it wasn't under intense rules, and I've mentioned before with the production, like, not the production, but like doing the AIW production, I've gotten to know Chase a lot better. And that was a match that I think he's been waiting for, a match like that. Like, it was a match that really was able to elevate him to that next level that everybody knows he could be at, and he knows he can be at, but there's only so much you can do in those scrambles. There's only so much you can do without the mic time. I think that match brought Chase Oliver to that next level. Yeah.
You would say too, probably like a little more aggression in this match than we're used to seeing.
A lot of aggression. He did not rest on just being a wrestler. He did everything. He pulled out all the stops. He did his high flying stuff. He did his wrestling. He's just as good technically as he is high flying. He's hard hitting. He's a total package, and I think he's finally figuring out that the only way he's going to get to that next level is by not choosing one particular style and just doing everything he can do to make himself stand out and get that opportunity.
Yeah, this match was 100% worthy of the main event spot, whether it be the crowd, the wrestling, the fighting, just it had that main event feel. I mean, obviously it was, but didn't feel out of place.
Yeah, it had especially at a brand new venue, it was probably the most AIW feeling match that we've had in a really long time, especially at a new venue. Like, it felt like an AIW match, that match.
Anything else? Any other thoughts on this match?
No, like I said, good match. Go out of your way to watch this card. It's very good. And I think, again, I think if you were there live, go back and watch it on FITE. And I think that, and I've gone back now and watched a couple of the shows that we've done our own production on, and I think you get a completely different view of what's going on with the production. Like, the commentary, I think, adds so much to everything. All the production elements add so much to everything. And I think it's only going to get better. And I think that AIW is going to start being one of those things where we've always been like live product first, and we still are. But I think that even the people who love the live product and go to live, people like me and you who have been going to the live product forever and don't always go back to watch the old shows, I think that it's going to start becoming, oh, hey, I went to the show, it was good. Let me watch the FITE TV version now and see what I missed. It's almost going to be like it's like supplemental to the actual show live.
One of my favorite things about watching old AIW back when it was on IWTV was those promos that would play at the beginning of all the shows.
Yeah, and that's if you go back and watch the show, we did those again. We put those in intermission. So you have people cutting promos after their matches from the first half, and you have people cutting their promos leading up to their matches in the second half. Like, we had people would get out of the ring, and we'd say, all right, come on, let's go cut a promo. And that person would go in the back, cut a promo. We'd have someone edit it kind of quickly. We'd put it into the computer, quick cuts, input all that video, and then we put it right on the stream. Like, we're doing all the stuff live in-house now, so we're able to kind of do whatever we want and try different things out. We have more stuff we're going to try out. There's more opportunities for us to help these stories move along and give these guys time that they don't usually get. Like I said, please, if you were at the show live and this goes on, this now is like from here till forever from now, watch those shows back. Like, it's not it's not me just trying to push it. It's me as a fan of AIW saying there is more content than what you're getting at these live shows now with the way we're doing things. And you'll get more from the show by watching it back. And then we plan on doing more stuff. Like, it's not just going to be that. Like, there's a lot of stuff down the pipeline right now, and I'm very excited for what AIW is going to do, because as a fan of AIW, I know what I loved about certain things.
Mm-hmm.
And I brought up a lot of those things. Derek, who's been a big fan of AIW even before he was training to wrestle, before anybody really knew who he was, like, he was a fan of AIW, and there's things that he loved, and we're trying to bring those things back, and we're talking to people. There's people like Chase who, with his expertise in video and everything, like, we have these people now who can do these things, and we're planning on just start pushing out content. It'll start rolling out slowly, but then once it all starts to roll, like, there will be AIW content between shows, between podcasts. Like, there will be plenty of content for AIW fans to follow.
It was Derek pitting Chase to retain the AIW Intense Championship, and that's how the show ended. Nothing else really to lead up to the next show.
Yeah, that's the Chase Oliver go home speech was just for the live crowd. Was not on the live stream. He sent the crowd home happy. Thanked his friend for being there. Thanked his family for being there. It was a very good show. Again, I cannot stress enough that you guys should all, even if you were there, go back and watch it.
All right. Any last minute thoughts or plugs before we go?
Well, you can follow me on social media at RevTintin. That's at RevTintin. I am looking to do commentary at more places. I'm looking to do more podcasts if people want to podcast about stuff. Just trying to get out there and do things. I'm really trying to hit the ground running this year with things like this. Fill up some free time. Do something a little more than just sit and scroll on my phone. So yeah, if you're looking for a commentator and you're a professional wrestling promotion, hit me up. If you have a podcast and you're just looking for someone to interview, or you're looking for someone to talk about whatever with, I can talk for hours. So just let me know.
And you have a ton of experience doing just that.
I do. I really do.
Of course, you can find myself at jsummers330 on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and Hive. Much like you can find the show on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Facebook.com/WrestlingCheers, Twitter.com/WrestlingCheers, and Instagram.com/WrestlingCheers. Email, if you so choose to desire, WrestlingCheers@gmail.com. And like I said earlier in this show, please rate, review, and subscribe your ever listen to this fine podcast, whether it be Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, YouTube, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Amazon Music, or Podbean, WrestlingCheers.podbean.com. And all of those links can be found through the Linktree link in the podcast notes. Check out our podcast friends, such as Pod Van Dam, Super Fantastic Podcast, It's Evolution Baby, The IndieCast, Sobros Network, Biff Radio, GameWorks Podcast, Power Bob Jitsu, Power Driver Podcast, Fully Posable, Positively Pro Wrestling, Indie Wrestling Guide, If You Catch My Grift, At Odds with Wrestling, Marks with Mikes, Juggalo Rewind, X-Over, This Ends at Prom, and Porch Talk. And check out our other non-podcasting friends, such as The Mystery Men, Redline Radio, Mouse's Wrestling Adventures, VHS Party Tonight on Instagram, Danger Zone Video in Joliet, Tennessee, Heart of Gold, Toy Hio Toy Show, Time Capsule Toys, Smokin' Jay's Barbecue, JCP Designs, Midwest Territory, Southern Underground Pro, and the official graphic designer of Wrestling Cheers, Moy Boy Designs. That will do it for us here on Wrestling Cheers, where everybody knows your name. And beware of Ziggy. Later.
It's the Wrestling Cheers. Get up on your feet, brightening your day in the middle of the week. And you gotta love the show. Yeah, you know it holds a title for the best podcast talking wrestling in Ohio. Finishing a cold one, take a load off. We ain't all about the prohibition like Josh, so we cheers. and then we sit back. Other shows are in the trash, kinda like they Nick Stapp. Like the name is Matt Justice, wearing all the gold. Wrestling Cheers is coming to a close. The #1 podcast going in the game, and one day everybody's gonna know the name. It's the Wrestling Cheers. This is Platinum Max, signing off. Ohio, good night. The world, good night. We love you. We'll see you next week.